check your mic, Leland? Take a minute.
This is not America. Sha-la-la-la-la. Little piece of you.
Welcome to Talking Truth to Power. We're Nevada's Freedom Talk Radio, bringing a new perspective on the news, and I'm here. My name is Brendan Trainor.
And this is not America.
No, it's definitely not. This last week was pretty bad. Well, I guess we could start off with how finally we had a press conference from President Biden.
We did?
Well, it was awful. I mean, if you can call it that.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, he lost his train of thought. He had to use cheat sheets. He called on people with softball questions like, the American people elected such a compassionate man such as you.
He's a nice guy.
Yeah, nice and compassionate, yeah.
Yeah,
That's why the unaccompanied minors are all coming here.
He cozies up with anybody who seeks blood in the, in their objective. He's comfortable with all those people.
Yes.
Really nice guy.
And then the wind blew him over when he was climbing up the stairs to get on Air Force One.
Yeah, that the air winds on the surface were what, at most 11 miles per hour that day. Someone actually did that. They looked to see what the
wind
surface
yeah,
winds
sure.
were. Yeah.
And the thing is, the tectonic plates of foreign policy are shifting right underneath America's feet, and Biden is just oblivious to it. He cannot change the neoliberal policy. He's wedded to it. I mean,
Globalist.
Globalism,
Yeah.
yes. The EU said bad things about Russia, and then Lavrov called them in, dressed them down, said he showed them videos of the jailing of the Catalan separatists and your EU police beating up on demonstrators and say, leave Russia alone. You got your own problems. And then Biden went on George Step on All of Us. and he said that Putin is a killer who has no soul.
Yeah.
And Putin first...
Well, he knows these things.
Yes, I know. And then Putin called back the ambassador to Moscow to talk about it, and then he went on the air. And I don't know if you understand Russian humor, but that was a complete troll, what Putin said. I mean, he was just...
Oh, yeah, no, it's dry as all hell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Twice he leaned over and said, I wish you good health.
Yeah, right.
I wish you good health. And, people don't understand. That's the way Russians act.
Well, and Biden is just outmatched there.
Yes.
I mean, it would be difficult not to outmatch Biden, but
Right.
But Putin is very sharp, and he understands exactly where civilization is going. He knows where the power centers are and how they seek to accomplish this new world order, and so he's not afraid to talk about it. He's been talking about it for years.
Yes, he is. Yes, he has.
He's the only one that isn't afraid to talk about it.
And then he said about being a killer, the correct Russian translation, I had it here, was, you are what you say you are. Oh gosh, I had it here, but
well, that sounds like English, though.
Yeah, right? Yeah. It's the translation though that the Kremlin gave out was better than the American press made it sound like I said, I know you are, but what am I? But actually, what he said was that Biden is projecting his own faults onto him.
So you're saying that the American propaganda media mistranslated Biden?
Oh yeah, or Putin. They mistranslated Putin.
Oh, Putin, yeah. Yeah, for our benefit, for the benefit of the American people. Yeah.
And then Putin challenged him to a debate or a conversation to be broadcast all over the world.
Wouldn't that be neat, though?
It would be.
I was looking forward to that.
Yeah, but the thing is, Putin does this all the time. Americans don't know how many times he talks to world leaders, to the press, to his own people. He has national press conferences where people call in and ask him questions without, submitting them first.
Putin has to be one of the most frustrated human beings on the planet, outside of you
know.
and I,
I know.
because he can't get anything going with anybody.
So he would have mopped Biden up. I
Yeah.
mean, if he had ever did all that.
I did watch that so-called press conference, though. It lived up to expectations, but no more.
Uh-huh.
I think it was carefully scripted. Obviously, he had apparently a cheat sheet that even had images of the reporters that were allowed into the room, into the press conference.
Mm-hmm.
So he knew who he was speaking to, and I don't know if that helped him, but at least it was there for him. Gives him
Right.
a lot of comfort in his condition.
So then immediately after this, Putin goes to China and, talks to Xi Jinping, and they reaffirm their mutual partnership, and they say that they're for human rights in every country, not just the ones that they like, and they are. And then we haven't even gotten to Blinken, how he shows up in Alaska in a second-rate hotel. He invites the Chinese to come there.
It's like he asked them to come and chop his head off. Could you guys come over to Alaska and
Humiliate me?
and humiliate me? That's basically what we saw there.
Yes. You have no standing to lecture to us, is what they told him. Because, again, we've talked about it on the show. I don't know if anybody else talks about it. But America is all latched onto this rules-based international order whereby they set the rules and everybody has to obey what we say. So there will be this liberal democratic hegemony over all the world.
Well, because the CFR designed that that way.
Exactly.
So that's how it's always been.
And China was once again adamant that they believe in international law, not a few countries with their rules-based order. And then
Well, I don't think they believe in either one, but that was good, polemic for them.
no, I think they do. I mean,
No, I don't think that.
yeah.
No, they don't care about the sovereignty of their own region. Nobody there even likes them.
Where?
Vietnam, Taiwan, they all feel threatened by China.
Well, they may feel threatened a little bit, but not. I don't think the Vietnamese feel
Well, they're
threatened
flying
by
in their
China.
airspace. That's a provocation.
I don't think the Vietnamese
And they don't
feel
care.
threatened.
They don't care about the nation state. Let's be honest about that. They wouldn't have joined. Kissinger wouldn't have invited them into that New World Order scheme if he had thought it was ever going to turn out like this.
Well, like what? With them being successful?
Successful? In
Yeah.
what way?
They are
Because they have a stock market?
They are successful.
Would you like more energy? A photon sound beam may be the solution you need. A photon sound beam uses electrical energy to ionize gases that generate ozone and light to enter your body.
Getting to know you.
Let me tell you about America Matters with Eddie Floyd. It comes on every Monday at noon. Don't want you to miss it. That's America Matters with Eddie Floyd.
To join the conversation, call 844-790-TALK. That's 844-790-8255. Now, back to the show.
Welcome back to Talking Truth to Power. This is Brendan Trainor. I'm talking to Leland Faegre. And Leland,
And the rest of the world.
Yeah, and the rest of the world on AmericaMatters.us, www, the World Wide Web. Leland, I just think you believe that nutcase Gordon Chang.
Oh, I don't think Gordon Chang is a nutcase at all.
I think he is.
He's not even an internationalist or has any connection to the establishment. I mean, he's completely outside of that.
Yeah, but he's either.
And
he's
so
either,
is Michael. Who am I thinking? Michael Pillsbury. Same thing.
Yeah, he's either.
And he is a CFR member, by the way.
Yeah. He's either a nutcase or he's a grifter. I mean,
No,
China is not going to collapse.
Who says they're going to collapse?
That was Gordon Chang's whole entree.
Yeah, but that's not really what he's actually saying.
Well, that's what his book is called, The Coming Collapse of China.
If Trump were still there,
Uh-huh.
he could make that case. That isn't going to happen in the next 4 years.
Trump was wrong too.
It's a renaissance.
No.
China's renaissance is in full bloom as we speak. Nothing's going to change.
What do you mean by renaissance?
Well, I mean, they were held in check for 4 years. Not anymore.
They're not going anywhere except peacefully to other countries.
Trade. Yeah.
That's what it's all about.
That's what Trump was checking. It was checkmate on China.
You can't say that he won the trade war.
Look at this. What they did is they created a virus, let it go on the world, knowing fully well.
You believe that too?
Absolutely.
No.
There is no question about what that virus was. It came from a laboratory. We've got aerial photos back in September of 2019, where the whole area was shut down. There was nothing there. The reason was they had already recognized that virus had escaped that lab.
That is a conspiracy theory.
No, it's a
and I am very reluctant to use that term.
And I'm too, unless it's legitimate, and unless it comes from someone whose value I trust.
If the virus is not natural, I would bet that it's us that started it, not China.
They tried to make that case. And
they're not the only ones that.
China tried to make that case.
The viral lab in Fort Detrick is the only lab that has officially had leaks.
Right.
They've had at least 2 leaks.
Not the only one.
Yes.
Laboratories often leak these kinds of viruses.
And then we have dozens of viral labs surrounding China.
Why won't they lend themselves to an investigation?
They did.
They didn't.
Yeah, they let the few in.
Under their terms, under their circumstances.
Well.
And they didn't even trust the United Nations.
Well, the fact is that all the majority of scientists are saying it's natural.
Yeah, it's just not the case. I don't know where your sources are, but the majority of scientists are not saying that.
Yes, they are.
No, they're not.
Yes, they are.
You're going to have to go out there and
very
do a
few. It's very few.
Where, on YouTube?
Anywhere.
No, it's very unlikely that it came from animals. No. Very unlikely. It's a laboratory creation, and they used it deliberately to take down Trump.
Ron Unz says it came from us.
Well, he's entitled to his own opinion.
Yeah, and so am I. But the thing is, like I said, they had those soy sauce athletes in Wuhan roaming around doing who knows what.
You mean the U.S. military?
U.S. military that did not send any real athletes.
Right.
They
were uniformed. Weren't they uniformed over there?
Yeah, they were, but they were not athletes.
Right.
We normally take those games seriously.
They were exchange, relationships between each other's countries.
We normally take those games seriously. This time we didn't take them seriously, but we had people on leave all over the place. I'm not saying it happened, but there is a better chance that I think that it happened from us.
I think it was a collegial.
I think they wanted to wreck China's economy because they're afraid of China.
No, I don't think they wanted to wreck China's economy.
Did.
But I do think there's a possibility that it could have originated here as an excuse to blame China and destroy Trump, because there was no source on the planet that didn't want to take down Trump. They would just as soon put a bullet in him if they couldn't steal the election from him.
Right.
So I'm not disavowing that possibility at all.
Mm.
Not at all.
But the thing is that China did react very quickly. You saw how fast they put up those. You saw how fast they put up that hospital.
Well, they know how to construct buildings really
and
quickly.
then they locked it down very
for
hard.
Themselves?
Very hard
to protect themselves.
Yeah, from the virus.
Yeah. Well, they let everybody who was infected go out on the rest of the world.
Well, they couldn't keep people in the country that belonged to other countries.
I think you can make a very.
And we didn't test them when they came over here.
Well, we have suggested evidence now that virus was floating around earlier than January and February, and there's a reason for that. They wanted that virus out on the world.
But it was floating around in Italy.
I think you can make a very good circumstantial case that they were seeking to take Trump out with the coronavirus.
Who?
The establishment, the globalists.
Okay. All right. That's a possibility, what they were trying to do.
I don't think you continue to fail to recognize that China is part of the global arrangement. They were invited in by Henry Kissinger and the CFR back in 1973. That's when this whole thing started.
Yeah, I understand that
Patriots should have been concerned about it then.
Yeah.
Because while we want, China to grow, we want their living standards to grow, we don't want 60 million more deaths in China from the regime of the communists that control it. But at the same time, we have a sovereign nation we're trying to protect here. And these people saw an opportunity to control us, and they're using it. They're stealing our technology. They're seeking every possible advantage in the education system. We have got to recognize that this thing is serious, very serious.
Oh, I know it's very serious, but I don't think that China is involved.
Oh, they were always
I
involved.
think they want to cripple China too.
Who?
The establishment.
No, they have a market of 1.5 billion people over there. They don't want to do that.
Yeah, but they're not. China and Russia are not going to. They're pulling out of
These
trade.
people are fascists.
They're pulling out of trade.
The Chinese Politburo is a fascist arrangement.
Yes.
The American establishment is a fascist
technically,
arrangement.
yes.
They're all fascists in this thing together. And they seek global control over all of us, whether you live in a Chinese province or in the state of Oregon
They
or
don't
Washington.
have that much control.
Or they do.
No,
Oh, yeah.
their people leave freely.
We're going to talk about it on Jews in the News in the last segment.
What?
Mass media.
Oh, yeah, the mass media.
They have
yeah.
total control over that.
Yeah, but the globalists do, but they don't. They bash China all the time.
So you agree with me?
That the mass media bashes China?
That they control all of us.
No, that they have a great deal of control, right. That's
Yeah.
right. And I mean, they just demonetized Crowder for investigating the voter registration rolls in Las Vegas.
Yeah, it's all now HR 1. That's job 1 now.
No,
this
I
is
don't.
critical.
I don't see. I know China wants trade. That's what they do, but I don't see them as part of the establishment that's out to get us.
They were always part of the establishment.
No,
That's why Zhou Enlai and Mao Zedong agreed to seek this arrangement with Kissinger back in 1973. That's when this thing started. It's not recent and it's not indigenous. It's not a sovereign effort on China's part to do their thing, whatever it is that they're doing. They were brought into this arrangement because we were broke. We couldn't afford the New World Order, and the New World Order was already 75 years in the making at that point. They needed somebody to pay for it. China was 1.5 billion people with slave labor.
They're not
Perfect.
They don't have slave labor in China.
They had slave labor when this arrangement was set up.
When Mao Zedong was there.
That's what
I
I'm
think so.
talking about.
Yeah. But they don't have it anymore.
But that doesn't matter because it's
Why?
accomplished. They have a foundational basis now to proceed.
At what?
Their global design.
What is their global design?
Complete suppression of the nation state.
No, that's not
Dissolution of the
China's.
nation state.
That is
They-
not. There's no evidence of that.
They're doing it even in the region.
They're not.
But by committing themselves to globalism, that's
They're
the
not.
definition.
India just kicked their ass on the border.
The definition of globalism is the end of the nation state.
That China is not about the end of the nation state.
Yes, they are
No.
a partner in that great
No,
arrangement. Yes,
and
they
neither
are.
is Russia.
You're going to have to go back and read about Kissinger's relationship to the Mao Zedong and Zhou Enlai. That's where this
China
started.
is not against the nation state. They're not going to blend
They're
into.
against every nation state. They're globalists.
They're not.
That's the very nature of globalism.
They're
they
not-
don't care
China-
about the nation states.
China is not about ending the nation state. That's not their purpose.
Which nation state are you talking about?
Any nation state.
Not, their own.
They are affirming.
They're not interested.
No,
in it.
other nations. They're affirming the sovereignty of other countries.
They are a partner of the global
That doesn't
design.
matter.
They
They-
don't care about the nation states.
They
That's what the
do.
global design is.
They do.
That's what the United Nations is designed to do. Is to dissolve the nation state of any power. The states, the 200 member states of the General Assembly will effectively become city councils.
Yeah, and
in that
I
arrangement.
agree that that's what the New World Order people want.
Yeah.
But I think that China and
is
Russia
a partner.
and Iran, no, they're not.
Oh, of course they are.
They're the resistance.
Oh, no, that's insane.
Yeah, they are the resistance.
That's absolutely insane.
They're mad at us. They're mad at the Western government for humiliating what they call the Great Humiliation.
They weren't mad at us until Trump came along.
No, they were mad at us.
No, they weren't.
Yeah,
They were perfectly happy with the way things
They
were.
were showing that when Biden.
That's why they needed the coronavirus to
Okay,
affect
we're
the
running
world.
out of time here, but they were showing. You can find China State TV, and they were showing pictures of how they were humiliated for 150 years by the West, and they just told Blinken they're not going to be humiliated anymore, and they're not going to sacrifice their sovereignty for trade. China is putting trade with America on its lowest priority, and so is Russia. Trade with the West. They told the EU.
Well, the Trump's initiatives with respect to China was not going to have that effect on trade. They were still going to be able to trade. They were still going to be a sovereign state. Trump has no designs to dissolve the nation state. He is a nation. He believes in the nation
And neither
state.
does Russia, and certainly Russia, and neither does China.
No, but well, China does.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes.
Are you a skilled diesel mechanic looking for a great place to work with dynamic pay, health insurance, 401k, and other great benefits? Dynamic Diesel is looking for qualified full-time journeyman diesel mechanics to work Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. till 5 p.m.
This is America Matters Media on AM 1180 KCKQ,
a Lotus broadcast station.
the power of radio since 1967.
Want to expand your advertising dollar? Sponsor this or any America Matters program by calling 775-827-8900, extension 2. Now, back to the show.
Hey, and welcome back to Talking Truth to Power. I'm your host, Brendan Trainor, my co-host, Leland Faegre. And, you know, speaking of nation states and sovereignty, we have a very strange story coming out of Africa. I don't think you heard it on the mainstream news at all, so we're going to break it here. But we have two African nation states that have had a regime change, and it could be very well linked to Bill Gates and the Great Reset, and the other things, the World Economic Forum, and other things that are happening.
We touched on this about 6 months ago on the show. I know we did.
About Africa?
Yeah, about one of these countries. I think it was Tanzania.
It's possible. Yeah, I don't. But we had first. We had John Magufuli. He's the president of Tanzania, and he went missing for 2 weeks, and then he was confirmed dead. And then one is significant is that Magufuli is one of the COVID deniers in Africa, who have called the COVID a hoax and have refused access to the World Health Organization into their country. According to reports, Magufuli had his office prepare 5 samples for COVID testing that were not even human.
I know. Great, isn't it?
There was goat, motor oil, papaya, quail, and jackfruit.
And they all tested positive.
4 of the 5, I think, tested positive for
we
COVID-19.
talked about this way back.
Oh, wow. So he called the Western COVID tests a fraud and Western vaccines as dangerous. And he's not anti-science. He's not some kind of African witch doctor.
Right, he's not.
He initiated programs to combat AIDS and cholera, and the life expectancy of his people has increased. And then, so then what is even more is that there was another president that also was sort of regime changed. And that was Pierre Nkurunziza.
Well, you're forgiven, but are they partners in the region? I mean, is there...
Not to my knowledge, but they were both anti-COVID and anti-WHO. He was the president of Burundi, and he also expelled WHO and criticized COVID.
Well, if he's anti-WHO, he's an ally of the show.
So he died suddenly of what is sometimes called a heart attack, and some people have said he contracted COVID, trying to say he was an idiot and all that. But anyway, both of these people, Burundi has already reversed every one of his COVID policies, and Tanzania is expected to do so shortly.
Yep.
So we don't know what exactly is going on. We can only speculate, but
I think it's a natural blowback.
Anything that gets in the way of this virus scenario is suspect, I guess. And in other news, the U.S. persuaded Brazil not to accept Russia's Sputnik V vaccine. Boy, I wish I could go back to Russia and get that vaccine, because I don't trust I certainly don't trust the Pfizer vaccine.
Yeah, I feel good about contracting the virus and to I feel liberated.
Uh-huh.
I've gone through it, and
Right.
I don't have to be concerned about
Yeah,
it anymore.
it's surely it's
And
a
I don't have
relief.
to get, and I don't
Yes.
have to get in the line. I don't have to get in front of anybody that might or probably deserves to get in a vaccination before me. It's completely out of my control.
Yeah, the Pfizer vaccine is the most expensive vaccine, not only in terms of the amount per shot,
I saw that.
but also the storage. I mean, it has to be kept in below zero temperatures, and
Logistically, kind of nightmarish.
so Bolsonaro said he won't take the Sputnik vaccine, but to our dismay, Argentina, Uruguay, Bolivia, Peru, Venezuela, they've all embraced Russia's help with the vaccine, as have a lot of other countries.
Well, but why does Bolsonaro have to take it at all? I mean, he had the condition, so he doesn't need to be vaccinated.
Well, no, I mean for his country.
Oh, for the country. Oh,
yeah,
I see
for
what
the
you're saying.
country, yes. So the thing is, we have a little, on top of all the other friction we have a little Cold War over the vaccine and pushing the vaccine.
But that's healthy. That's competition, and that's healthy.
That's the thing is, it's what we're doing is not competition. We fought a revolution because the Britain was the superpower at the time, and they had monopoly corporations like the British East Indies Company and the British West Indies Company.
A lot of people describe that as competition, though. A lot of people think that's capitalism.
Yes,
They
it's
really
not.
don't understand the difference.
No, because they haven't read Adam Smith.
That's right.
They don't know what the difference between capitalism and mercantilism. Mercantilism is when the state is in charge and granting special favors and privileges.
Effectively, it's a fascism.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so that's what we're doing around the world. We're strong arming these people. We don't. Blinken is threatening Nord Stream 2 again, and that's a never-ending soap opera.
It's just about over. I don't know what he's.
Yeah, I know. But he's threatening to sanction the Europe. This is the government should not be out there. It's okay to, give some money for advertising. Although even that, like the Import-Export Bank, that's what they do. They basically give taxpayer loans to advertise,
to sponsor private sector initiatives.
Yeah, but
ridiculous.
If you're going to use the sanctions and strong arm tactics, that's not the free market.
Right.
Exactly.
That's why the Export-Import Bank has got to go.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons that they have to go.
But you see that this duopoly of Democrat and Republican and its history won't touch it with a 10-foot pole.
No. They have backed down every time. Even Elizabeth Warren backed down.
That's the corporate welfare state.
Right, exactly. And that's probably worse than the individual welfare state.
Yeah, I think it is,
many
actually,
levels. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so we don't know what hand Bill Gates has, because we don't know what Bill Gates, what is he, a good person or an evil person? I mean,
well, he's clearly a globalist, so right away
he's an evil
suspicious.
Person. Yeah. And so now we're going to overthrow governments because they don't follow our medical protocol. This regime change.
They've got to get in line in order to establish this new international order. They've got to get in line.
Yeah.
And if they don't, there's going to be consequences.
Yeah, I know, and that's the rules-based international order that China rejected in Alaska.
Which is why we should get out of the United Nations and get the United Nations out of the United States.
Okay, I sometimes I go back and forth. Sometimes I agree with you. It's useless.
Well, it was designed for that purpose.
It's almost like Kamala Harris was running the world. Oops, she didn't hear it.
Uh-oh, we're going to have to fire her. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good one, and this has been the purpose of most of the patriotism, the very virulent patriotism in the United States since I can remember, since I was about 19 years of age, and even before, because the John Birch Society came into existence in the late 50s, and their primary purpose. I mean, there used to be bus stops that had get us out of the United Nations on the bus stops.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
That was part of our marketing. And I spent 10 years in the John Birch Society, and that was our main focus, was to get the United Nations out to the United States. And so, there was movement in the Trump administration along those lines. We're no longer part of UNESCO unless Biden has reversed that as well.
Yeah,
I mean, there were
if he hasn't, he probably will.
Yeah. I mean, we better not tell him because he'll probably do it this afternoon. But everything that Trump did is to be reversed.
Only if we put it on a cue card for him to read.
He has
to have a cue card before he can do anything.
Yeah.
So, but so the I'm with you that the ultimate aim of the left is one world government, and that's a long ways away. Apparently,
well, it's not
they're
as long,
trying.
It's not.
They're trying to accelerate it.
Well, you see, they can't really make it the focus of the organization's purpose,
right?
Because it will alarm us,
right?
And they don't want to alarm us. They love people being in the dark. They love us poor and stupid. That's the whole basis for how they want to proceed.
Mm-hmm.
So as long as they can maintain that without educating us, I mean, that's what public schools are designed to do. They're not there to educate us.
Mm-hmm.
They're there to hold us back. So if they can maintain that foundation going forward, that facilitates their grand design. And they'll just at the very last minute, maybe they'll launch a third world war, something because that's how they got the United Nations in the first place. It was after fighting
World War II.
After fighting 2 world wars.
Mm-hmm.
Was the only way that they could draw the American people to out of their reluctance to support such an initiative. Was the bloodthirsty goals of central banking wars around the world. That's how they do it.
Yes, and what can I say? We put you could put a big sign of neon lights, "Wake Up America."
Yeah, it's not going to work. That's just not going to do it.
You can show the movie They Live.
And they have a virtual monopoly on communications. That's what the propaganda media is all about.
Right.
That's why they don't care whether they even have a viewership. Mm-hmm. Because they don't need a viewership.
Hi, this is Eddie Floyd. Let me tell you about my favorite non-profit public charity, Wainema Wild Horse Sanctuary, located on the Forsythe Ranch in Hallelujah Junction area. And please go to www.wainemaranch.com. That's WYNEMA ranch.com.
This is America Matters Media on AM 1180 KCKQ.
A Lotus broadcast station.
The power of radio since 1967.
Unable to listen to the whole show? A recording of today's program will be available later today. Visit americamatters.us and click on the podcast link. Now, back to the show.
Sounds Jewish.
Hi, and welcome back to Talking Truth to Power, and it's time for our segment, Jews in the News. But first, we have to give the Anti-Defamation League's mandatory disclosure that we understand that Israel is our greatest ally, and it's the only democracy in the Middle East, and they don't throw gay people off of rooftops. And we understand that whenever we see Jews behaving badly, in each and every time, it's always our fault. Yes, exactly. So we have quite a few, unfortunately, Jews in the news this week. First of all, Ghislaine Maxwell one of the Zionist media, Mossad, Maxwell family, is finally charged with sex trafficking.
Yep.
After all this time and trying to get bail and trying to get out.
Well, it's a complicated case.
Oh.
There's a lot to it.
I understand, and there's a lot of names involved with it, too.
Yes, there are. Yeah.
And then another thing that happened is that convicted Israeli spy, Jonathan Pollard, who served his prison sentence.
He's gained a little weight, hasn't he?
Yes, he has.
Yeah.
For stealing our secrets and giving them to Israel. He was flown back to Israel on Miriam Adelson's private jet, owned by the Sands Casino, to Israel, where he was met personally and welcomed by Israeli President Benjamin Netanyahu. And
well, he's a benefactor.
Right, he's a hero of the Israeli state. And then a few days later, in an interview in the Israeli press, he admits that dual loyalty is a thing for the Jews. He came right out and said, if you're a Jew, it's Jew first, America second. And, of course, Nancy Pelosi could not be reached for comment
She
on
couldn't?
that. No.
Oh, okay.
Because,
Wonder where she was, because she's pretty high profile.
We all know that that's simply a trope and it has no real, validity.
I see. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Then Rahm Emanuel is in the news because there's talk that he will be.
He's got to have a place in the Biden administration. Is that what you're going to say?
Yes,
oh,
he
okay.
definitely does. He is one of the prime architects of neoliberalism, Clintonism. He's the failed mayor of Chicago, and he's now going to be under consideration for ambassador to either Japan or China.
And he's the guy that came up with the idea that if there's a crisis, you exploit it.
Yes, that's right.
That was his.
Never let a crisis go to waste.
No one else thought of that.
That's his
him.
quote. It'll always be in the famous quote section.
That's right. It'll be on his tombstone.
But he's rubbed so many people the wrong way in his climb to power over the years that even Democrats, that he may get near a tangent. That's what some people are saying, or at least hoping.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But they're going to find another place for her.
Yeah.
We talked about that on the show.
Someplace where she doesn't have to be confirmed.
Yeah, right. Mm-hmm.
Then we have the Michigan Attorney General, and we get double intersectionality points because she's also an angry lesbian, and that her name is Dana Nessel. And she.
Oh, I see where you're going with this.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, we get double points for that.
Right.
And then Jonathan Turley wrote an article condemning what she did. So she arrested the restaurant owner who appeared on Tucker Carlson,
right.
Marlena Pavlos Hackney,
right,
the day after he appeared on the show.
Mm-hmm.
And Turley ripped her, also mentioning that she threatened those who raised election fraud issues in the state.
Mm-hmm.
And she said Trump was racist because his suit involved Detroit, which is primarily black. So that obviously was racist. And she said that because Carlson cheered Donald Trump for the many ways he avoided military service, while others complied with their legal obligations, it's no wonder that you revere this woman, speaking of the restaurant owner, making a personal sacrifice for the greater good of our state and nation was once considered admirable, not anymore. See, it's always about the greater good for these people.
Yeah.
It's
always. There are no exceptions.
Right. Always sacrifice for the greater good.
Yep. Ayn Rand would just be turning.
Yeah, I know. Those are two strong. Ayn Rand, of course, was a strong Jewish woman, but of a different point of view.
Antithetical.
Yes. So, so Turley said, he used polite language, but he called it raw political violence. And she seems to struggle to fulfill every stereotype of a biased political operative exercising criminal enforcement authority. I would have just said she's a Bolshevik.
Well, but that's not Turley's style.
No.
So
no, he's.
I mean, if you have to be a Democrat, you want to be like Jonathan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly. Then we also had, this involves Nevada, the head of the American Federations of Teachers Union, Randy Weingarten, who was born in Brooklyn and is Jewish. She says that the schools don't have to open because children are resilient. And basically, no matter how long they're out of school, they will recover quickly from going without in-person education.
So by logical extension, then how long are they going to be out? Another 4 years?
I think she mentioned years, and somebody said maybe they were just commenting on her that, that means, 4 or 5 years, and they'll just bounce right back. No problem.
The unions are amazing, aren't they?
Yes.
That's just the most amazing thing we're watching right now.
And don't forget Oakland Mayor Libby Schaaf.
Yeah.
She approved a program giving poor minorities in Oakland $500 each.
A guaranteed annual income?
Yeah, but she excluded the 10,000 poor whites in poverty from getting a check.
So it's not okay to be white anymore.
That's not okay to be white in Oakland, I guess.
So it's not about your financial income level. It's about your skin color.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
That's the only thing that matters, because it's, it's definitely not okay to be white anymore. So, and then I like
we laugh in lieu of crying,
right,
ladies and gentlemen, in case you're listening.
The Philip Giraldi, I don't know if you know him, but he's a former CIA agent. Is one of the good guys. He's been exposing the deep state, but he writes quite extensively on Jewish privilege as far as foreign policy and the government is concerned. And the headline on his latest article on the UN's Review was really, I thought, kind of cute. He called the Jews the intellectually superior eternal victims.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
God, that's good.
Yes.
Well, what it lacks in appropriateness or legitimacy, it makes up for in style or direct provocation. Yeah.
So the reason why we point these things out is because the Jewish people have what Gilad Atzmon called the pre-traumatic stress syndrome. A survey recently said that 80% of Jewish people actually think that Americans are preparing the gas chambers for them.
Really?
Yeah. That's what the poll actually said, that they're afraid of Americans. And so that is their culture, their diaspora culture.
So where does that originate, do you think? Where's the foundation for that?
Well, they always were. I've been studying a lot about religion in the Middle East and the Israelites, and they were always about keeping separate. And
right.
And Yahweh was not always their God, and even when he was their God, he had a girlfriend. Yeah, the original pre-Israelites. I'm talking about from. These are all legendary figures. They probably didn't exist in real life, but from Abraham to Isaac and Jacob, all the patriarchs, El was their God. Look at Israel. The spelling of Israel stands for Isis, the female goddess of Egypt, and she is the moon. Ra is for Ra, the head of the Egyptian pantheon, and he is the sun. And then El was the god of the Canaanites. He was the head of their pantheon, and his symbol is Saturn.
Okay, but that was, so the derivation of that understanding that we were just speaking of originates with what amounts to a nomenclature that's passed on in the pews? I mean, in the traditions? Or is it ensconced in the book?
No, what I'm saying is that the Bible it's not historical. It's all legend, and the Jewish religion was basically the same religion as the Paganites that surrounded them, with very little difference. It wasn't until they came back from the exile in Babylon that they believed that Yahweh was the one God and no other gods. Before that, Yahweh was just the head God, the main God.
Well, can we use that as a way to get out of the United Nations?
I hope so, you know.